As you guys know, my name is Shelby.
And I'm her wife, Cherie.
This is our second podcast, and we are filming it for the YouTube channel as well.
We've had a good time with this so far, and we think about ways to be creative, which is a good time. Today's episode is going to be on...
Taking action.
Taking action.
Taking action.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. There's a lot of times we don't take action, and I think we'll just hop right in here. Sorry, I'll stay in the middle. Taking action. You know, sometimes we go through things in life and we get uncomfortable. You know, situations don't turn out the way we want them to, or, you know, relationships end in certain aspects, friendships, family, whatnot. So this is about taking action and growing through this. And sometimes we don't always have, I guess, people that we could resolve things with, or a lot of us don't have tools to work things out. So it gets really complicated. But what do you do when you need to work them out yourself? You take action.
You take action, yeah, because something has to be done. If the person that maybe you have the issue with or you're trying to process something with isn't willing to process, then you have to do something or you'll get stuck in here. And
yeah,
sometimes being stuck in there isn't a good place.
And it's crazy because, like, I know taking action is so important. I know that staying on a daily spiritual ritual that I do is so important. But sometimes life gets so busy, and then it's like, oh, I'll do it later, or, you know, hey, everything's going really good right now, I'm not going to be doing it. And then all of a sudden you're in the middle of a crisis. You know, I don't know. To have a daily ritual, you don't have to be religious. I'm spiritual, Shelby's spiritual. And a ritual consists of many things, like...
my morning ritual is getting up, of course, going to the bathroom, having coffee. I prepare the baby's bottle before he comes down and get the kids' stuff all set up. I do the dishes. Like, that's my morning ritual.
Yeah. Wow, you do a lot. So for me, I actually wake up, legs come down, go to the restroom, and then I go downstairs to make some coffee. I take the dogs downstairs with me. I feed the dogs. I go outside in the backyard and I have my coffee, and then I kind of go into like a dream state, and I try to manifest, like, you know, what my day is going to be like or what I want for my life. I try to take a moment, but it's not so easy when things aren't going as you wish. You know, your mind gets bogged down with trying to analyze situations, trying to work them out in your head, you know, and staying on track is really, really important. And Shelby just printed out, what are those?
They're like daily
logs.
Daily logs. Worksheets, I think is what they're called, but logs, where, because like she said, you said sometimes it's hard to do that, like when things are hard, but sometimes for me, when things are good, I ignore that stuff and I just go, I take care of the kids or doing my morning, but I'm not still manifesting my future or everything else. But these logs, they tell you, make the bed so that you're getting up out of bed, make the bed, brush your teeth and take a shower. That's personal care right there. And sometimes people aren't able to even do that, and just being able to check that. But the one I love the most that's on there is, what are you grateful for? Because each morning you do have to sit there and think, like, what am I grateful for?
Yeah. And then there's also, like, what your goals are for the day, you know, and you guys, we're not doctors. Obviously, if you're on medication by a doctor for depression or mental health, please stay on it. You know, these are just alternative things that you can do that might enhance your life a little bit better, bring a little bit more joy. You know, but when she first brought it down, I was like, wow, brush your teeth is on here. You know, and I'm like, wow, that's a big deal. There's some people that's a huge task for, you know, and it's quite an accomplishment. So, but all of it's a ritual, you know. So some of you on here might not be spiritual, or, you know, I'm not religious, but you have a ritual you do every morning, you know, and you can set your intentions totally, you know. So I like to write them down. So I go down, I have my coffee, and then I go out and I take off and I water my backyard. Then I water my front yard, you know, and you guys, if I miss these steps, my morning's off. And it's highly noticeable, you know, and it's almost like, you know, we're reading a book on, go ahead.
Alchemy?
Alchemy.
Alchemy is the one that...
by Carolyn Myss, and it's MYSS is her last name, and it is just extremely educational and enlightening, you know, and she talks about rituals on there as well, which is huge for us.
I thought like just a ritual was like, spiritual or, you know, something like that, lighting candles, something like that. I didn't realize that like I have a daily ritual
that
until
you
she
do.
said that, and then I pay attention to it now. And
There's times she doesn't make the bed, guys. Yeah. And then I'll go in and I'll make the bed, you know, and we haven't figured out yet if that makes it off for her or...
It is strange, but I do notice that if you've made the bed, when I'm making my rounds, I straighten up like Grayson's bed. So I'm still making a bed.
Right.
Yeah, so just kind of getting it done.
Yeah, and then I'll go in and try to help, and sometimes my help consists of just throwing the pillows up off the floor.
She's like, I half made the bed. She pulled her side up.
Right. But I mean, you guys, so if you set your intention, obviously, in the morning, and you start doing a daily practice, and having some rituals to set your intention, you know, thoughts become things. We've said this before on some of our recordings on YouTube, you know, it's extremely important, you know, and recently, like, we've been going through some challenging times in life, and, you know, I'm feeling anxiety and I'm feeling a little bit stressed and bogged down. And for me, I'm usually really positive, or I'm laughing, or I'm joking around, and I become very serious. And it's like, oh my gosh, something's wrong. I can't live like this anymore, you know? Like, I need to figure out what's going on. So Nana, of course, suggests this book by Carolyn Myss, and the one I read was Energy Anatomy?
Anatomy on... It wasn't energy?
Yeah, Energy Anatomy.
Energy
and
Anatomy.
Again, mind-blowing, great thing. It talks a lot about aligning the chakras and what their purposes are. And also it has practices on there of when you are, they call it magnetize. So when a situation happens in your life, right, no matter who it is, it's almost like every individual here on earth is a divine appointment for your growth. And I found that just extremely enlightening. And, you know, if things don't work out, you have a lot of your energy over there still trying to resolve it. It's almost like it's still stuck in what's unresolved or what didn't go proper, you know. And if you think about all the people you cross, you know, or come across, or people, relationships you've had over the years, when you think of a certain scenario, whether it be sad or happy, you're always referring back to, oh, I had a sad time once, you know, like, you know, I don't know, my mom didn't hug me enough when I was little, you know, and you're just like, you know, or friendships that didn't work out, like, you know, oh, I feel hurt, or they feel hurt, and, you know, and a lot of your energy gets stored in that.
Yeah.
And what do you do with that energy, you know? I can tell you when things are rough, it plays over in your mind and consumes a lot of your thought patterns. And Shelby was reading the other book too, and she came up with like,
so
us taking action.
Yeah, taking action. So back to the alchemy book that Carolyn wrote. She talks about clipping the weight, WEIGHT, of your past, so you don't have to wait, WAIT, for your future or all your dreams to start coming true. So she's like struggling, and we're both struggling, but when she had last talked to me about like what's going on in here, I said maybe we need to clip the weight. Clip all of the ties and feelings that you're having to all of these people, places, things, anything that's going on in your head. And that's how we decided to do, we wrote lists out, like, of all of our feelings, all of the people, places, things, and...
Well, no, first, we had little tiny pieces of paper.
Oh, Lord.
And we had like, X
They
amount,
were
so
little.
we kind of split them up and we wrote them. Next thing you know, we ran out of them. So then we were like, wow, we've got a lot of stuff
We're writing
to
on
clip.
tiny little papers.
And we're trying to put on here, okay, now we're going to add 2 people on 1 piece of paper. And so we did this ritual, right? I go outside and I made some makeshift fire pit and put this little metal fire thing in the middle of
Some
it.
sage.
Yeah, so I light this thing on fire with lighter fluid. It's not getting enough oxygen, so it's smoking. It looks like our backyard's on fire. And I'm like, all right, so are we ready? And now we've just got a whole bunch of pieces of paper writing things that need to be resolved. Like, it's funny how a lot of times in our own perception, we have our own situation that happened during a relationship breakdown.
Yes.
That other individual also has their own perception of what they're working on and healing on. And it's crazy because I think a lot of times we're not experiencing the same thing during a hardship or a struggle with friendship, because we're not all working on the same things in our life at once, and things get misinterpreted. And it's like, I like to think, we all like to think we're right and everything, so there's moments where I'm like, oh, it's this, but in fact I do. I have a part in all of it, and then I'm left with those parts, and you have to work through them and figure them out. And so this was a great way for us to write them down.
It was, but the first time that first fire that we're speaking of, it was basically, I forgive you and I'm sorry, right? Those were them.
Yeah.
That
I
was the
forgive
first
you
one.
and I'm sorry.
And
then I'm going to send you a lot of loving
Yes.
prayers and lights, and I release you on your journey. And it's almost like totally praying for that person,
and
trying to resolve that.
resolve that and quiet this, and
So-
it felt great because we each I read one that I said and I put it in the fire, and she read
through the
one.
smoke, right? We're both sitting there.
She's
just
like, hurry
I
and go
can't
because I
breathe.
can't even see.
We have 4 chairs around it, and we're like, the wind's blowing one way, and so I'm getting up going to one, she's going to the other, we're swapping, and it
Papers
was
are
just
flying
like,
out.
oh, it was so gross.
But we still took the action.
Yeah.
And afterwards, you felt light.
Yeah, and it actually worked, So here we're taking this action, and all of a sudden my mind is like crickets, and I can't even think of anything. It is so wild when you release everything and let it go,
But the only thing with that is there were crickets, right, for a little while, which was great. And so we weren't focusing on all those other things. We're focusing on this, right? YouTube, podcast, our other business, our children. But then some days go by and she's struggling again.
But here, it's interesting, the struggle though. So in my experience, you guys have to realize this is probably going to work different for everybody. I
Yes.
have no idea. In my own personal experience, a situation came about to where I kind of spoke about something that I let go
In that fire.
in that fire, and like kind of a little bit, and it wasn't like in a negative way, but it was still a negative situation. And so boom, then here I am back trying to analyze that whole entire thing. So I had to release that again. And since I've released it again and didn't speak of it, it's demolished, it's gone.
But before you released it, you acknowledged like, oh, I'm feeling this way again. And I said, wait a minute. When we did that fire, we did the I'm sorry, I forgive you, and I pray for you. But we didn't release the feeling.
Yeah.
The feeling that we got from
Sorry,
whatever
I'm sweating. We
situations.
have no air conditioning
Yeah.
in here, and it's like hotter
we're in the
than
garage
Africa
because the
out
kids
here.
are sleeping. So we didn't release the feelings that we had to each said situation. So that's when we did the second.
Yeah, so the second fire, we did it again, and I'm like, God, maybe I stacked it wrong. I really need to, why did it smoke so bad? And so I went and I set it up, and I did it early, so I thought that everything would get burning. Oh my God, again, gross. Obviously, I have to redo the fire pit because there's not enough oxygen, and it just smoked and smoked and smoked. And so now we're out there releasing the feelings, which that was pretty amazing. And actually that was like the tool afterwards, was releasing the feelings, because like, even though you're saying sorry and you're understanding, you're in acceptance of how things happened, and then you're apologizing that things didn't work out better, or you didn't behave properly, or you could have done better in a situation. We release that, but we're still stuck with that little girl inside going like,
This hurts.
that hurts. Like, what's happening? You know, or darn it, why didn't it work out? You know, so you have the feelings involved. And once we took that second step, all of my mind was clear. And you guys, we're talking so clear.
No, honey, it's okay. It's so hot. We have,
Oh,
we have to start doing this later at night
Oh
'cause
my
it's hot.
God, it's like hot in here. We're in the sauna doing this. But
We're letting all our feelings out.
right? But it was so clear, you guys, that things that I didn't address now, like things from long ago, started popping up in my mind. And it's almost like the mind needs something to put there to think about, you know? Once you remove all this stuff, then you're just sitting there with like nothing to think about, and your mind's looking for something. So now that I cleared all this out, I started thinking of things that happened like 20 years ago and 25 years ago, and I'm like, oh, that's really strange. Or something that I didn't think was a hurt would pop up, and I'm like, so today I made another list, and it was a list that was more surfacey and things that are kind of not as traumatic. And so we didn't light a fire, but I wrote it all down, and I took the piece of paper over to the fire pit and I lit it on fire, which saved us from smoke. So I think that's the new way we're going to approach this. But just by taking these actions and listening and listening to these books,
Oh my God.
you guys, Audible, you know, like I'm not much of a reader or able to read, especially with 3 kids. I know you're not. And I never really enjoyed reading books and sitting down by a fire. Obviously, I can't make one. So listening to them, something different. I can get in the car and I can listen to a book on Audible, and I'm listening. And then next thing you know, I just listen to it till the end.
Yeah, especially when you're driving to work. I know for me, like, if things are maybe not so great, or it's loud in here, so this is all pre-fire, I don't totally want to do anything, so I kind of want to like lay on the couch, you know, and lay on the couch. But since that's not what we want to do and we want to take action, once I started just listening to books, and I swear by Carolyn, I love listening to her books, and it's not just someone reading to you. She's like live on an audience, and it's just phenomenal. It feels like you're there. Since I started taking action and listening to these books, this starts to change, and then this starts to feel better. I listened to one book, and then it was like, I'm on fire. I do want to do something. I want to do these lists. I am manifesting. I'm being more conscious of what I'm thinking, because sometimes I can think negative.
I think we're all capable of thinking negative, especially
More
when we're
negative
sitting
than positive. Yeah,
when we're
fear.
sitting in fear. You know, I have a lot of negative things I could sit there and think about, you know, because I need a shift, you know. And I think that it's really great because we do binge watch on Netflix. I mean, come on, guys. But it was cool when she was reading a book and I'm reading a book, because now after we put the kids down, we're talking about what we learned.
Yeah.
And so that brought some excitement and some fire into things. And it's time for us to grow into a totally different avenue, you know. And so if you guys are sitting there and you're thinking about, how do I get out of this funk, and how do I start feeling better? You know, because the next one, I have another step that I took actually today that we'll bring up on the next podcast. How much time do we have?
We're at 19 right now.
We're at 19 right now. So we're going to cut that at probably around 20. But our next podcast, I want to talk about something that I did on more of a spiritual level, and something to heal me even further. But you guys really, all I can say is taking action and learning, even listening to this podcast, you learn something new of a ritual, you know. Maybe in your ritual in the morning you can incorporate, if you're, you know, religious or spiritual, or you have, I don't know what you call your higher power. It could be God, Jesus, Mother Earth, whatever it is. Incorporate things that you want, you know, how you want to heal. Please guide me, please, whatever it is, you know, or start imagining, wow, what would my life look like if there was more peace involved? You know, what would my life look like if I felt happier inside? How do I get happier? You know, and start writing stuff down. Journaling's a great thing.
Vision board?
Vision board, obviously we do vision boards.
We have these ginormous pieces of paper that are like sticky.
They're poster boards.
But they're sticky, but they're paper.
Oh no, you're talking about
Papers.
giant Post-it notes.
Yeah, they're giant. So I can be shy, and even this stuff makes me a little nervous prior to. So I resist, sometimes subconsciously, but I resist it, and so I have huge Post-it notes in our house telling me to stop resisting. Because I know this
Stop resisting.
Because I know this is what I want for our future, and I want to continue to help other people and everything. But I get nervous, and so then I start resisting.
And I don't know why she gets nervous, you guys. I mean, you're so awesome. You're so kind, so genuine, so sweet. Like, there's nothing to be nervous about. I mean, I'm over here like wiping sweat off my forehead and my face because it's like 90 degrees in here.
But we took action, you guys, in 90-degree weather. We took action. We're sitting out here. We're recording the podcast.
We don't have a lot of opportunities. Like, the kids are down relaxing, so we get to run in here and film, and then, you know.
Yeah, we only get to film at night because we have 3 kids.
Yeah,
so
we have a short period.
This is our window
to do it. But thanks for tuning in, you guys. We, again, want feedback if you want other things. I mean, we're going to be unfolding a whole bunch of different things and talking about situations, how to handle them, how to resolve them, how to heal yourself inside. Because life's so short, you know. But Carolyn Myss, if you could read any of her books, wow, like mind-blowing. Yeah, it shifted my perspective on my encounters with people. Yeah, and how they show up in your life and what their opportunities are and what my opportunities are. And it was just a nice new way to look at things, which is crazy.
The Alchemy book, I've never liked a book. I'm not a reader, but I've never liked a book enough to like even want to hear it again. I could listen to that book over and over again.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. She brought a lot of things that I already believed, you know, in my psyche, to light, you know, like she put language to a lot of stuff.
But doesn't that like kind of set something off in you when you're hearing someone say something and you're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I believe. Like I think that's what it is like, I already believed one thing, and then she said it, and I'm like, like the way she says it, yeah.
Sometimes, you guys, we just don't have language. Mm-hmm. We don't have language to talk about how we feel or what we think, and we just sit there kind of confused all the time because we don't have the words to put it out there. But, you know, and she did. That resonated with me.
Yeah.
You know, and it got us both into some action.
Yes, it definitely did. Listening to the audio got us in action. And then it's been rolling since then.
Yeah. But thanks for stopping in, you guys. This is going to be exciting. We're going to be unfolding a whole bunch of stuff. So I think we're going to be trying to drop, 2 podcasts a week?
Yeah, because this is the second one. Yeah. 2 podcasts a week. And
so the next podcast, we're going to talk about the other step that I took that was extremely necessary for me. And I hope this helps you, you know, post notes, let us know.
On the YouTube channel, you can comment, any comments on it, like what you guys thought about this feedback, but then also any topics for the future that you guys might want to hear about, let us know. and we can do that.
Yeah.
If you're interested in those little worksheets, I can tell you where to get them and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And eventually we're going to want to make a workbook.
Yes, we definitely do
So that's something that's going to be in the works. Don't know how soon. I can hear our daughter
Nope.
walking.
that. It's not
Who is it?
Grayson.
Grayson's
right
room?
here. Yeah. Grayson's away.
All right, guys. Thanks for dealing with us. Thanks for sweating it out. And
Taking action and listening to this podcast.
we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.